OK, so Paul OConnell, you've been capped, what, over 100 times, you've won Triple Crowns, you've won everything. And here you are with yet another trophy for the cabinet, but for a book. Did you expect it?
I didn't expect it. I thought we'd a decent enough story to tell in terms of, you know, sports. Probably a fairly boring life outside of rugby, but in terms of rugby, some of the challenges I went through and trying to be as good as I could be, I thought there was an interesting enough story there. I had a great guy in Alan English to help me write it, and we spent a long time at it. You know, we agreed to do the book in 2009. I thought I'd retire a lot earlier than I did.
So you just keep ringing them and saying, sorry, the book's not coming yet.
Yeah, we did it, essentially, yeah. And but we ended up with a lot of detail because of that, you know. We ended up with an awful lot of detail, and yeah, I'm really happy with how it turned out.
I have this sense of you saying, of course I've won. If I'm going to do it, I'll win.
Well, no, not when it comes to this. Well, maybe if you speak to Alan, he would probably say that. You know, he's very good at what he does. He was excellent with me. It was a very tough process, very difficult process. Both invested a lot of time in it. But actually, after my injury, it was a great thing to have because it kept me really busy. You know, we had a really tight deadline and we had to work quite hard at it. So, yeah, it was great. I'm proud of it now.
The relationship with Alan, I want to talk to you a little bit about that because he'd also worked with Brian O'Driscoll on the test. And I spoke to Brian when he won the award here 2 years ago. And Alan pushes you. I mean, he wants honesty. How far did he have to push you, or were you ready to go, ready to spill your guts when you met him?
Yeah, it was. I mean, look, I just, you know, I never really fell out with anyone when I played. I probably argued and fought with everyone, but I never fell out with anyone. But I know that in terms of what I went through myself, in terms of trying to be the best player I could, there was quite an interesting story to tell, and Alan was interested in that as well, and we got on really well. I got on very, very well with him. So when it is a difficult process, you know, and it gets very tough at times, and it helps.
Is that because he's pushing you to say things you don't want to say, or that you haven't thought about, or why are you saying that that's tough?
Not really. I suppose it's just, you know, I'm just trying to nail exactly what I'm trying to say and what I mean and what I went through. And we would go through a process of me, of him writing something, me changing it, giving it back to him coming back with suggestions. Then we'd sit down together, and you know, it is a slow and difficult process. But you have to be able to read the book, and you have to be able to say, you know, that sounds like me. That's what I went through, or whatever. And getting to that stage is slow at times.
Had you read many other sporting memoirs? I'm not going to ask you to name which ones you
had.
Right? Don't insult anyone.
I've read,
but you know what I mean? Did you find inspiration in any particular sporting memoirs?
Yeah, I've read loads of them, and you know, a lot of them aren't great. I mean, to be honest, yeah.
Which ones aren't great, Paul? Go on, name them out.
I won't name any names, but like probably the best one I read, even though I didn't think he came across great, and it was Andre Agassi's book, Open.
Isn't it extraordinary?
It was an incredible book.
It's an amazing read, yeah.
Yeah.
You're on the court with him.
Yeah. You see what he went through and that, and you know, you can see he invested a lot of time in the book, and so that was probably the most enjoyable one, yeah.
Okay. The title, The Battle, it's such a great title for you, I think, because it sums up the battle on the pitch, which we all know about, but also battles off the pitch. Talk to me about what you think this title means. Yeah, that's essentially what it was. You know, I would have myself down as a battler of a player. You know, I was a high work rate type of player, and then throughout my career, I had all sorts of injuries to deal with, and I was always trying to be as good as I could be despite those injuries. You know, I think like everyone then as well, I had doubts, and I was always trying to manage those and figure them out. At times, you know, I loved rugby, but at times I didn't really enjoy it as much as I should have, and I was always trying to figure that out as well. So why
that's what
that? Was it the injuries? Was it, you know, what was the bit that made you go, I don't love rugby?
Well, I wouldn't say I didn't love it. I just, you know, the Friday before big games, I used to get quite nervous. I used to, you know, it meant an awful lot to me. I love what I did, and I really loved the teams I played with as well. It meant an awful lot to me. So I used to get quite nervous the day before big games. nervous to the point where I wasn't really enjoying it, and I knew
You're
that.
kind of like, why am I doing this to myself?
Yeah, so I knew that wasn't right. If you're playing rugby, well, I can understand if you're sitting in front of a computer all day from 9 to 5, how you mightn't enjoy your job. But if you're out throwing a ball around with your best mates, you shouldn't really be at a stage where you're struggling to enjoy it. So that's part of the book, is the story of trying to figure all that out and trying to, enjoy a game that is fairly easy to enjoy.
Was the book for you, or was the book for sort of maybe those younger guys who are coming up, who are looking for such inspiration from people like yourself and Ronan and Brian and all these great names?
Well, I think it might be for people like that. It might be for young guys. I think everyone thinks there's something wrong with them if they suffer from doubts or they have insecurities, but that's part and parcel of life, and I think it's part and parcel of high performance as well. We all have, doubts and insecurities are what stop us from being complacent. They make us prepare really well. And if a young kid that's playing hurling or football or rugby or whatever reads it and I suppose identifies with that and says it's okay to have those and kind of can embrace them a little bit, well then, the booklet serves some purpose anyway.
And as you said, writing it helped you, I suppose, log it and look back at what it was. Are you proud of you, the you that we read about on the pages here?
Yeah, most of it. I mean, there's plenty of stuff I wouldn't be proud of, but we all make mistakes. It's part and parcel of life. You got to learn from them. Sometimes we don't learn from them. We repeat them a few times, and then we eventually learn from them. I probably did a little bit of that. Yeah, I'm really proud of the book, and I think it's funny. By the end of my career, I'd figured an awful lot of stuff out. I felt I was in a very good place in terms of how I prepared for games, but that probably coincided with my body beginning to pack in on me, which was unfortunate. So I was chatting to John Montague, the poet out there. I said, that's the one thing he has. He can stay working until he's 87 or whatever age he is. Whereas a rugby player, once you hit 35, you're in trouble. Your body starts giving in.
Are you going to start writing poetry, Paul? Is that what you're telling me?
No, that'll be a step too far.
Can I just end by talking about such highs and lows in Irish rugby over the last short while? Obviously, the death of Anthony Foley is something that shocked the nation. What are your thoughts on that a few weeks later? Yeah,
it's horrific. I mean, I think the whole of Irish rugby, the whole Irish rugby community is devastated by it. And I think then there's a certain amount of people then that know his family as well. And when you know his family, you realise, it's almost worse. He has a great family, great wife, great kids. His dad played for Munster. His sister played for Munster in Ireland. His dad played for Ireland as well. Sorry, but he's just in a great rugby family of lovely people that looked after Anthony, but looked after all the players that played with Anthony as well. So. It's just a real tragedy, and I think a lot of us still haven't come to terms with it. It's very hard to comprehend. It's very hard to understand, and I think for me, one of the day when we played Glasgow and the way the team played, the way the team performed, what happened in the ground afterwards, which was just from what I could see happened purely by accident, it was one of the best rugby memories I'll ever had in my life. And I was sitting in the stand with my son, so it's been a tough time, but I must say I'm very proud of how Munster and the whole Munster rugby community have performed and rallied since.
In terms of highs, we have to mention the All Blacks. Again, what's it like for you to watch this team maturing and developing?
Oh yeah, it's amazing. I played the All Blacks 9 times and never beat them, so I didn't
want to mention it.
I didn't deserve another chance, so it was about time they got someone else in. So it was fantastic. I was over at the game. It was a brilliant day. I was very proud of the boys.
Is it sad though? I mean, are you sitting there going, give me that 10th goal?
No, look, you could.
Come on.
You could be like that. No, and I think we've a brilliant coaching staff, brilliant group of players. I think this group are going to go on and be very successful in the years ahead. There'll be plenty downs, but I think there'll be plenty ups as well. So if you're sitting there on the couch, regretting that you're not still involved, you know, you're going to be miserable. I was 35. I played professional rugby for 14 years. And by the time I retired, I was ready to retire, and I'm one of the contented rugby retirees, you know. So I'm very happy to be on the couch supporting them and cheering them on.
If you hadn't retired, you wouldn't have this.
That's true, yeah. Very true, very true.
Listen, Paul OConnell, huge congratulations on winning Sportsbook of the Year.
Cheers, thanks.
Thank you. It's really super.
Yeah.